Now we are about to hear from one of those children of the future. 13-year-old Derek Leidigh of the Holy Name of Jesus School in Harrisburg won a gold key in the 2002 Patriot News Scholastic Writing Awards for his essay on September 11th. And tonight he joins us to read that essay titled Innocence Robbed. Derek?
By all accounts, it should have been a wonderful day. The skies were the brightest blue, the clouds were a billowy white, like large balls of popcorn, and the sun shone vividly. It was a beautiful day, but in stark reality, it was September 11th, 2001, and my life had just changed forever. The morning started out typically enough, with my mom nudging my brother and I through our routine toward the bus, with Mom saying, "Hurry up, you're going to miss the bus," and I replying, I'm coming, only to hear her laugh, "Yeah, so is Christmas." The everyday things in life I take for granted, the bus arriving at 7:30, and Christmas coming every year. Will they really always be there? I arrived at school, and we started our day as we always do, with morning announcements and prayers. I realized since this fateful day, our prayers are not as rushed or self-serving anymore. I used to pray for my family, for peace, for good grades today, and maybe to do well at my football game. Now I am praying for world peace, praying for God to help me understand, praying to God for answers on whether I should want justice or revenge. Praying beyond prayer, my older brother is kept safe and sound if we should go to all-out war. We were at school about an hour, and I was thinking about what all normal children my age think about, lunch and recess. I knew we had some tests that day, but I was ready for them. I was thinking about what I was going to do at recess, about my video game I would play after school, and about the football practice I would attend that evening. I also remember being annoyed by the girl who kept kicking my chair. I was ready to ask the teacher if I could move when I saw the look in my teacher's eyes. The blend of eagerness and annoyance I had seen only minutes earlier had been replaced with a look of disbelief, a searching for words, and a genuine caring I had seen only in my mom's eyes before. My teacher began to gently explain to us the events unfolding in New York. She kept saying over and over we were all very safe, and she would keep us that way. I remember her turning the television on in our room. The scenes were so unreal, almost like a movie. But the thick, mounting shock in the room left little doubt this was all very real. Within what seemed like minutes, and then suddenly seemed to have no end, we watched as our country came under brutal and unforgiving attack. One building, then a second building, rumors of a third. One plane, no, 4 planes, and finally perhaps as many as 6. I stopped counting, but I could not stop watching. Who could be so heartless and ruthless? Why would anyone want to kill so many innocent people? Were we going to be next? When was it going to stop? I glanced out the window, and the skies remained their constant blue. But I saw colors of every range. I saw rays of orange and red flashing in my mind, with black clouds of destruction rising above. I saw glints of silver and shards of glass flying in all directions. I saw faces, the many faces of people I instantly related to, but did not know. Faces full of tears, despair, hopelessness. Faces of courage and leadership among the ruins. Then I remember looking back in the classroom at the face of the girl who had been kicking my chair. Her face revealed tears, and I heard her say she wanted her mom. In that instant, she was no longer annoying to me. She made me realize my mom was exactly who I wanted as well. The teacher quickly tried to occupy our minds with anything else. She tried her very best, but I know my mind was as far away from the classroom as her very own, and we just all tried to cope the best we could. Usually in the afternoon, my grandma was waiting for my brother and me when we get off the bus because both of my parents work. I remember feeling so unsure of the world during the bus ride home that afternoon. Everyone was so quiet. When the bus pulled to a stop, I looked up and saw both my mom and my grandma standing there waiting for us. My mom grabbed me into her arms, and I thought for a second I would not be able to breathe as she held me so tightly. She just rocked me and told me how much she loved me. and I thought she might never let me go. A part of me never wanted her to either. I was supposed to have football practice that night, but my mom refused to let me out of her sight. I started to protest, but deep down, I did not want to leave the house. Our parents sat down with us and explained, the best they could, what had happened that morning and what was probably going to happen over the next few days. They assured us the president was going to hold the people responsible for this tragedy accountable. They reassured us they loved us very much and they would do anything to keep us safe. Then my dad said, and our country is going to come together and we're going to kick some serious butt. That made me feel much better. We sat together that night and listened to the president's speech. He spoke of tragedy, but he also spoke of hope. He spoke of American pride and determination. He spoke of going forward and not faltering. He had visions of all Americans banding together and not letting fear rule their lives. I have watched this vision come true. I've always loved my country and consider myself very patriotic. I love singing the Star-Spangled Banner, and I enjoy wearing my red, white, and blue. Suddenly, it was as if the entire country enveloped this new sense of pride. I saw flags being waved everywhere, in houses, on cars, and at every business. I heard songs of pride on the radio, and I heard people singing along with those songs. At first, I was a little taken aback. Where were all these so-called Americans before we lost so many lives? I've come to realize they have always been there, so enthusiastic as myself, but perhaps it was just an emotion they took for granted in their everyday lives. This is no longer the case as we stand united together as a country, as a people, against terrorism in our lives. This patriotism gives me a great sense of security and unity. I will never forget the events of September 11, 2001. I will never forget the people who died in this tragedy, nor those who fight to prevent a future one. The president tells us to get on with our lives. Do not forget, but go forward. It reminds me of another saying my dad voiced often, but now has new meaning to me. Whenever I complained, my dad would tell me, life wasn't made to be fair, and it isn't, so get over it. I'm sure my dad never intended me to think of this tragedy in those words. I know it was not fair for those innocent people to lose their lives. It was not fair for my life to be changed forever. But that is life, and we need to go forward. I may be young, but this grave adversity has caused me to grow up a little quicker than I wanted. I've grown enough to know what has happened was very wrong, but I can help by living each day of my life to the fullest and honoring those that lost theirs. In the eyes of society, I'm still a child. In the realm of statistics, I'm only 12 years old. However, on the inside, in my heart and mind, my innocence has been robbed, and 12 just does not seem that young anymore. I'm an American, I'm proud, and I'm hopeful. Thank you.
Well done, Derek. Thank you very much.